and scientists have no idea where it came from. What they do believe is that if you have that, you may have been evolved from a different kind of species on this planet.
Artificial intelligence has just cracked the code behind blood type O, and the findings are nothing like what scientists expected. For the first time in history, a non-human intelligence sifted through the biological data of almost 4 billion people and uncovered a pattern no human ever noticed. And what it found has stunned researchers. The so-called universal donor isn't as simple as we've always believed. It carries hidden risks, surprising advantages, and an evolutionary backstory so strange it feels ripped from a sci-fi novel. What was once considered the most ordinary blood type on Earth has suddenly become the most puzzling. The O-type enigma. Most of us think we understand what blood type O means. It's the universal donor, the safe, reliable option used in emergencies. Straightforward, familiar. But when AI recently reanalyzed massive pools of genetic and medical data, that simple story fell apart beneath the surface were unexpected patterns, unusual health connections, and evolutionary clues that are now forcing scientists to rethink long-accepted assumptions. So let's break it down, starting with the basics, but with a twist. When you hear blood type O, you probably think of one of two things. It's the universal donor. It's the most common blood type. And sure, both are true, but the real story behind type O is deeper, stranger, and far more fascinating than anything you'd find in a medical textbook. Thanks to decades of research and now advanced AI digging through enormous medical databases, scientists have discovered that blood type O is full of quirks that don't quite match the simple label it's been given. Under the standard blood classification system, human blood falls into 4 types: A, B, AB, and O. The differences between them come down to tiny chemical markers called antigens that sit on the surface of red blood cells. You can think of them as little name tags your cells wear. Type A cells carry the A tag, type B carries the B tag, type AB has both, and type O, it shows up without either tag. That's why scientists sometimes refer to O as the null blood type. It's like a cell with a blank ID badge. And that blankness is exactly what makes type O so important in medicine. Since O blood doesn't display the A or B antigens, it usually doesn't trigger an immune reaction in people who receive it. That's how O earned its reputation as the universal donor in emergency rooms worldwide. When doctors have seconds to act and no time to check a patient's blood type, they reach for O negative. The safest option, quietly, and countless times over, type O has saved lives without fanfare. But here's where the story suddenly gets far more complicated. One of the biggest revelations from the AI analysis is that type O isn't nearly as uniform as everyone assumed. For decades, scientists treated all O blood the same, grouping everyone under one neat category, as if every O-type person had identical blood. But once AI started digging through deep genetic and molecular data, it uncovered subtle variations within type O that don't always behave alike. It's like discovering that your plain vanilla ice cream actually comes in dozens of slightly different versions. Differences too faint for humans to notice, but important enough to matter in medicine. One of the most fascinating findings is how these O-subgroups interact differently with infectious diseases. We already knew that people with type O tend to have some protection against severe malaria, a trait that likely helped O blood become common in regions where malaria was a deadly threat. But AI found even more detailed patterns. Some O subtypes seem to offer stronger resistance to cholera, a disease that has shaped human populations for centuries. On the other hand, certain O variations may actually increase vulnerability to viral infections like norovirus, the infamous stomach bug that spreads rapidly in schools, cruise ships, and crowded places. It's a stunning realization. Two people with type O blood might have very different responses to the same disease. COVID-19 pushed this even further. Early research hinted that O blood types might have a slightly lower risk of severe COVID symptoms compared to A or AB. When AI systems analyzed massive hospital datasets, they confirmed the trend, but also revealed something crucial. Not all O types shared the same level of protection. Those hidden subgroups made a meaningful difference. So the idea that O blood protects you from COVID is an oversimplified myth. The truth, as AI has shown, is far more complex. The truth is, some O subtypes are more resilient than others, and only I had the processing power to sift through millions of medical records to uncover that this alone is a game changer. But the AI found something even more surprising, something that challenges the very foundation of O's heroic reputation. A story written in blood. It turns out the universal donor label isn't as absolute as we once believed. Yes, O negative is still the safest option in emergencies, but AI-driven analysis of global transfusion records revealed that even O blood can have tiny molecular differences that in rare cases trigger immune reactions. Doctors used to brush these reactions off as random accidents. Now, with AI spotting consistent patterns across huge datasets, it's clear they're not random at all. They're tied to those hidden O subgroups. This could reshape how hospitals screen blood and match donors in the future. But that leads to an even bigger mystery. If type O is so complex, and if it began as a genetic glitch, essentially a missing piece in the gene that creates A or B antigens, then why did it become so widespread? By normal evolutionary logic, it should have been rare, maybe even phased out over time. Instead, the opposite happened. O spread rapidly across populations and became the dominant blood type in many parts of the world. Clearly, something about being O gave ancient humans a stunning advantage in the harsh battle for survival. What most people never hear is this. A genetic error became one of humanity's greatest evolutionary strengths. Take malaria, for example, one of the oldest and deadliest threats in human history. The malaria parasite tends to grab onto antigens on red blood cells. People with type O, who lack those molecular handles, are harder for the parasite to latch onto. This means O carriers are less likely to experience the most lethal complications of malaria that may explain why O is especially common in Africa and regions heavily affected by the disease. In short, type O may have saved countless lives across thousands of years, and that raises one more question. Was O actually humanity's original blood type? For a long time, textbooks suggested that type O might have been the original human blood type, but modern genetic research tells a different story. Type A is now believed to be the ancestral blood type, with O emerging much later as a mutation. But once that mutation appeared, it didn't just survive. It spread fast. AI-powered population genetics models show that O's rise wasn't just luck. Yes, random genetic drift played a part, but natural selection played an even bigger role. Simply put, people with type O were more likely to survive certain epidemics, so the trait continued to pass through generations. Geography shaped this story too. One of the most surprising examples is in South and Central America, where O blood type is overwhelmingly dominant. In some indigenous groups, nearly everyone is type O, close to 100%. How did that happen? The leading theory points to ancient migration. When early humans crossed into the Americas, the small groups who made the journey carried high amounts of type O. Over thousands of years, those populations expanded, and O became the near-universal type in the region. AI is now adding even deeper layers to this story. By comparing DNA from ancient skeletons with modern-day genomes, AI is helping scientists map how blood types have shifted over millennia. It's like watching a time-lapse of human evolution and survival strategies. and the influence of blood type doesn't stop with disease resistance. Some studies suggest that type O individuals, especially athletes, may have a higher risk of Achilles tendon injuries. The exact cause is still under investigation, but it hints at a bigger picture. The genes that determine blood type also affect our connective tissues for athletes. That can be a fascinating and painful trade-off. Type O isn't just a genetic label. It's a survival blueprint woven into human history, but every survival advantage comes with limitations. Type O brought both strengths and vulnerabilities. From malaria-ridden regions to ancient migrations across continents, O carriers endured some of humanity's harshest conditions. It wasn't the first blood type, but once it appeared, evolution made sure it stayed. And today, its crucial role in modern medicine has secured its place as a true lifesaver. Hospitals everywhere depend on type O blood every single day. O-negative is the quiet hero of emergency rooms, ambulances, and disaster zones, treated like liquid gold because it can be given to almost anyone, buying doctors precious time. O-positive, being the most common, is the dependable workhorse that keeps the entire blood supply system functioning, but as AI has revealed, even heroes come with flaws. And type O has some surprising trade-offs. Let's start with one of its most well-known weaknesses: ulcers. If you're type O, you're more likely to develop stomach ulcers caused by Helicobacter pylori, the bacteria that irritates the stomach lining. Studies show O carriers have a 30 to 40% higher risk compared to people with A or B blood types. One theory is that the lack of antigens on O blood cells makes it easier for the bacteria to attach and thrive. Not exactly the evolutionary advantage most people imagine. On the other hand, O types have a notable strength: better heart health. People with type O often have lower levels of clot-producing proteins, meaning they're less likely to form dangerous blood clots that can lead to heart attacks or strokes. So yes, type O does come with a built-in cardiovascular bonus. Then there's the world of myths. In Japan and South Korea, blood type is treated almost like astrology. O types are seen as confident, strong-willed, even a bit fiery. And the popular blood type diet claims O people should eat mainly high-protein foods because their ancestors were hunters. But AI-powered analysis of personality surveys and massive medical datasets found no real evidence linking type O to specific personality traits. And nutrition research, including AI-driven studies, shows the blood type diet doesn't hold up. Your gut bacteria, genes, and lifestyle influence your health far more than your blood type. What is real, however, is the serious challenge type O individuals face with organ transplants. Because they lack A and B antigens, O carriers can donate organs to almost anyone. But when they need an organ, the situation flips. O recipients can only receive organs from other O donors, making them some of the hardest patients to match and often leaving them on painfully long waiting lists. The universal donor becomes the most restricted recipient, a harsh twist of biology. So if you're type O, you're not invincible. You might be less likely to suffer a heart attack, but more prone to digestive issues, and that's just the beginning. Because AI might soon change everything. The story of blood type O has always been a mix of strengths and weaknesses, but what happens when we stop focusing only on its past and present and start asking what the future holds? The next century will be all about unlocking the hidden layers within our blood, and leading that revolution is artificial intelligence. The old idea of 4 simple blood types is starting to look outdated. Thanks to AI, the system now appears more like a huge branching family tree, with countless variations we're only beginning to uncover. And for type O, the future is shaping up to be anything but simple. One of the biggest breakthroughs ahead is precision medicine today. Doctors work with broad categories like O-positive, But AI is revealing that even within type O, tiny differences can influence everything, from disease risks to medication responses. Imagine your future medical chart listing not just your blood type, but a detailed AI-generated profile of your exact antigen structure and how it interacts with your genes that could transform how doctors prevent illnesses, prescribe drugs, and even design vaccines. Organ transplants could be transformed as well. Right now, people with type O blood face a harsh reality. They can donate to everyone, but they can only receive from type O, making them the hardest patients to match. AI is already improving donor-recipient matching by analyzing massive transplant databases. But in the future, AI-guided gene editing might make donor organs universally compatible. No matter the original blood type, scientists are already working on converting A and B organs into type O, essentially making them invisible to the immune system. This is no longer science fiction. The future of health won't be generic, it will be profoundly personal. And at the center of that transformation is AI, powerful enough to interpret the deepest layers of human biology. For years, people believed ideas like the blood type diet, a concept now considered mostly myth. But what if that myth hinted at a deeper truth? We now know there are subtle links between type O blood and the complex ecosystem of bacteria in our gut. This is where AI becomes a game changer. Imagine an intelligence that can instantly analyze your unique microbiome, compare it with your eating habits, and detect patterns no human could ever spot. The era of one-size-fits-all health advice is ending. Soon, people with type O won't follow generic plans. They'll get lifestyle guidance tailored to their exact biology. It will feel custom-made, because it is. And personalized nutrition is only the beginning. The most mind-blowing possibility is that AI may force us to rethink what a blood type even is. The ABO system we rely on is just one of over 40 known human blood group systems. The letter O might be nothing more than the cover page of a book we've never had the tools to read. Until now. So what do you think? Is your blood type just a biological label, or a hidden code shaping your future? Share your thoughts below, and don't forget to like and subscribe.